on the Atlantean war plan.
I say we let him go. No! Had to do it. Welcome to Time About the Movies, everybody. The countdown is 6. That's right. We are 6 years away from wrapping up this show, and we're moving along here. And needless to say, if you didn't watch the previous video, you know that Steel City Con had just happened at the time of recording this, so I'm a little bit tired right now, but I promised to do a show tonight, and then the review will live tomorrow. That's why it's not happening tonight on this Sunday, but yeah, needless to say, we have a lot of movies to get to here, and I have already wasted so much of your time by doing something stupid like opening up like that, so let's go ahead and try to get through this as quickly as possible. I'm not making any guarantees, but we're starting off our 2015 leftovers to start the new year off by taking a look at Justice League Throne of Atlantis. In fact, we're starting off with 8 movies from Warner Brothers Animation, not just from DC, but also we have the Flintstones coming back with a new movie. Tom and Jerry is coming back through with a new film. We talk about a Scooby-Doo movie for the first time, I think, since Scooby-Doo and the Cyber Chase. The Looney Tunes are back in a new movie. Our regular show has a movie coming out. Warner Brothers Animation was very busy in 2015, and here is one of those films with Justice League Throne of Atlantis. So this is essentially a story based off of the Throne of Atlantis story from the New 52, with Arthur Curry, a half-Atlantean prince, discovering his heritage and aids the Justice League in preventing his half-brother, Ocean Master, from taking over Metropolis. And yeah, this is essentially a Aquaman movie, but because DC has this preconceived notion that anything that doesn't have Batman or Justice League in the title won't sell to the public, they gotta throw Justice League into the title instead of just calling it Aquaman Throne of Atlantis. I mean, as far as the film itself goes, it's just basically meh. The biggest problem this movie seems to have is that it's trying way too hard to turn Aquaman into the Thor of the DC universe, which, if we're being honest, the live-action movies will do that just fine a couple years later with Jason Momoa, but this is, I mean, it's not bad. It's like I said, the whole storyline is basically the plot of Thor, right down to his half-brother getting evil, but other than that, it's yet another origin story for Aquaman. And the movie doesn't even bother to make Aquaman come off as interesting in any way, shape, or form. Matt Lanter voicing him really doesn't help it either. The other voice work is fine in here. Jason Momoa as Batman, Jerry O'Connell surprisingly working well as Superman, Rosario Dawson as Wonder Woman, Nathan Fillion as the Green Lantern, Shamar Moore as Cyborg, Sean Astin as Shazam, Harry Lennox as Black Manta. There's a solid cast in this, except for Lanter as Aquaman. It's weird. Like, Matt Lanter's not a bad actor, but he just doesn't fit that role very well. I mean, it just doesn't feel right with him whatsoever. But the animation overall is pretty good. You can tell the animation studio is putting the money where the mouth is with this, and it is really the highlight of the film. But other than that, though, the great animation and voice work can't save Throne of Atlantis from being nothing more than just an okay movie. It tries way too hard to turn Aquaman into a Thor-like storyline, and it doesn't make the character interesting at all with a lackluster story to work with. And you know, Aquaman would get better film treatment in live-action form in a couple of years' time, but as of right now, not so much. So let's go ahead and continue on the WB animation movie hype train by moving on to our next movie, a film I promised I would do 4 years ago until I realized that this movie did not come out in 2011, it came out in 2015. So now, finally, my thoughts on the Flintstones and WWE Stone Age SmackDown.
Blu-ray, DVD, and digital HD.
So yeah, be ready to see Spike Brandt and Tony Servone's name as the director on several of these movies, because they directed 3 movies that we're going to get into this year, and surprisingly all of them are kind of fun, including this one. When Fred Flintstone unwittingly loses his family's vacation money, he hatches a plan to get it back. He convinces his longtime best friend Barney Lovell to become a professional wrestler as he proceeds to wrestle the likes of John Cena, Rey Mysteriople, played by Rey Mysterio, and even The Undertaker, with Fred himself as an event promoter. Numerous other WWE wrestlers and personalities, including owner, chairman, and CEO Vince McMahon, also provide their voices for characters in the movie. Now, I know reporters who would look at this and go, like, really? They're doing this with the Flintstones and WWE? I mean, when the news broke, everyone was just kind of like, what the fuck are you guys doing? But here's a couple things you need to remember. One, the Flintstones is known for having some pretty big celebrity guest stars of the time. I mean, anyone remember when Elizabeth Montgomery and Dick York from Bewitched showed up in a crossover? Anne Margaret's even appeared on a couple of episodes. Tony Curtis. I think even I Dream of Jeannie was on an episode once. But 2, this is coming out 1 year after another Hanna-Barbera franchise met the WWE with Scooby-Doo WrestleMania Mystery, and it won't be the last time that the WWE will meet up with a couple of Hanna-Barbera characters. Now, the Jetsons will get one in a couple of years' time. The one I'm shocked has never gotten one is Tom and Jerry. I mean, Tom and Jerry just feels like it should be the right franchise for WWE to cross over with. But no, we're not going to cross over with Tom and Jerry. We're going to save it for stuff like Surf's Up, because clearly Surf's Up and WWE definitely deserves to meet, right? No, of course it doesn't. But again, Scooby-Doo is another Hanna-Barbera franchise that's best known for its celebrity guest stars. Scooby-Doo movies, anyone? Scooby-Doo and Guess Who? So, the idea of doing a Flintstones WWE crossover may sound out of the ordinary, but considering their past works, it's not that out of the ordinary. And the most interesting thing about this movie is that it's the first new Flintstones production in over 14 years since On the Rocks. 55 years after the original 1960 series, and also the first Flintstones film without the original creators around. This is also the first time in nearly 50 years that Mr. Slade is voiced by somebody else, instead of John Stevenson, who had been long the voice, and now they got John O'Hurley doing the voice, which we'll delve into that a little bit later. So, how does it fare up? Well, again, kind of like with Throne of Atlantis, just okay. It's about on the same level as the Scooby-Doo WWE one from last year, and I'm not a big WWE fan, so maybe I'm not being totally fair on it, but again, I didn't hate the movie, I just thought it was just okay. There was nothing about it that really made it stand out as anything unique or incredible, but the animation can look pretty good. The characters' designs of Fred look off to me. Like, it looks like they're trying to emulate a little bit of Homer and Peter Griffin, mostly in the stomach area. And if you watch the trailer, you can definitely tell that Maxwell Adams, even though the guy who made Grim and Evil, the Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy, but Evil Con Carne too, but you can tell that he might have had some work on this. I don't know if it's true or not, but his name's nowhere on the credits, but there's definitely scenes in this where you could tell that looks like animation from Billy and Mandy. I mean, that's just my taking on that, but on top of that, the voice acting is really off, too. Like, Fred is voiced by Jeff Berman, who has been a terrific voice actor over the years. And much like with Bugs Bunny on the Looney Tunes show, there is definitely a difference between the last time he played Fred Flintstone in On the Rocks and this movie in particular. Like, go watch scenes comparing On the Rocks to this, and you'll definitely notice a difference in voices. I mean, it's not as noticeable as Bugs Bunny, but it's still there. Meanwhile, you got Kevin Michael Richardson as Barney, and there is a major difference. In this, it's like Barney got higher in pitch compared to his previous work as Barney in the Flintstones on the Rocks. But Tress MacNeille and John O'Hurley are pretty good as Wilma and Betty, and sadly, John O'Hurley, who I think really is a really great actor. You see him on Seinfeld. He's a great entertainer. He's done pretty good work on Dance with the Stars, Family Feud. I mean, the guy has a voice that just, it sticks out like a sore thumb, and it can be really funny, but I just didn't see it working as Mr. Slade. He just seems really off, and when I hear his voice, I just keep thinking to myself, oh, that's John O'Hurley. There was nothing really about it that really makes it stand out overall. It's funny because the wrestlers themselves do a decent job in their roles. They're having fun with their roles here. They know that this is stupid fun and just going along with it. The story's basically very generic, and it fits right into what you expect for a Flintstones crossover with a group of celebrities like the WWE. As it is, it's okay for like a rental or watch on TV, like it ends up on Cartoon Network, or if it's available on streaming. It's worth a one-time watch, but there's no real reason to own the movie. There's nothing truly spectacular about it. It's just a decent little kid's film. I say this as I own this movie, but hey, I bought it when it came out, so that's how I watched it for the first time. So take that for what you will. So that's the Flintstones and WWE Stone Age SmackDown. Let's head back to DC and see what they got with their next movie, Batman vs. Robin.
He's using you, Robin, to get to me. The choice you make tonight will define you for the rest of your life.
Well, shit, Batman's dead. I mean, let's be honest, after how horrendous Batman and Robin was, you can't blame Batman for wanting to fight Robin in this, but, this is, of course, another DC animated movie where you have Damian Wayne having a hard time coping with his father's no-killing rule. Meanwhile, Gotham is going through troubles with threats such as the insane Toymaker, which is a character you would see on Superman the Animated Series, and the secretive Court of Owls. On the one hand, we've seen this story kind of done over and over again. The one person going against his superior's recommendations to a point where he snaps and decides to go rogue. I mean, Batman the Animated Series did that too with Robin in that show becoming Nightwing. And yeah, it's been done to death before, and here, it really isn't all that inventive, to be honest. But to its credit, they do a good job of twisting and turning the cliche story points to the point where it doesn't end up being formulaic all throughout. Like, there are some moments where it does surprisingly take you off guard. Let's say take you by surprise, but I just started off by saying surprising you, but you get the idea. I enjoyed this a lot. I actually thought this was actually pretty good. The animation overall is really solid. The voice work is excellent. Jason Momoa and Stuart Allen get together nicely as Batman and Robin. Some really good voice work here. Jeremy Sisto as Talon, Kevin Conroy playing Thomas Wayne, Weird Al Yankovic as the Dollmaker. I mean, this is a great cast. The music by Frederick Wiegman's nicely done. The editing by Al Breitenbach, who did the editing for Batman the Animated Series, is nicely tight. It's a good movie, man. I really thought it worked a lot better than Son of Batman did. The animation is better, the voice casting is better, the music is better, the story runs much better, the editing is much tighter than the previous movie. Yeah, it's definitely one I would say check it out. So let's go ahead and move on to our next movie, and Tom and Jerry are back with a new movie, this time with a crossover that I think a lot of people were really expecting to see here. See for yourself, man. I mean, how can you not see a crossover with these two sets of characters whatsoever?
Happy landing! Everybody up!
Stop them!
Get ready to hit the thrusters.
Tom and Jerry Spy Quest. Look for it on DVD and digital HD.
Yeah, because when I think of Tom and Jerry crossovers, I think of Tom and Jerry and Johnny Quest. Like peanut butter and jelly, man. But I find it kind of weird that it says 3 spies, which... Okay, so Johnny Quest, Tom and Jerry, are they just going to pretend that Haji and Bandit are completely useless in this movie? But needless to say, I think most people kind of figured out around this point that Tom and Jerry aren't what they used to be. In the time of classic Tom and Jerry cartoons where it focuses on the different ways these two could beat the living shit out of each other and blow each other up are gone. Sort of. They've been trying to bring it back with recent movies, but in today's politically correct world, the Tom and Jerry cartoons of yesteryear haven't moved forward to this generation, even though you can still find them on TV anywhere, and they're out there to buy on DVD. I mean, we just had the big Tom and Jerry Golden Era collection coming out with all the classic shorts, so if you want to see Tom and Jerry in their prime, you can go and find that set out there. That being said, Tom and Jerry are still around. They still appear in many TV shows and movies, and the most recent one at this point is this one here, which crosses them with Johnny Quest. Two groups of classic cartoon characters come together in the crossover with the popular action-adventure series Johnny Quest, as tussling twosome Tom and Jerry join Johnny Quest and his pal Haji and embark on a dangerous spy mission in order to save the world. It's just another day at the beach for the dueling Tom and Jerry until they bump into Johnny Quest and Haji and their canine companion Bandit. With longtime Quest family nemesis Dr. Zinn discovers that Johnny's father, Dr. Benton Quest, possesses a device that could solve the world's energy problems, Zinn sends his evil cat army to steal it and capture Benton and his bodyguard Race Bannon, because why the fuck not? And again, kind of like with the Flintstones and WWE one, this movie is basically going on why the fuck not logic. I mean, yeah, Tom and Jerry have had crossovers beforehand, but surprisingly this one makes a lot more sense than the Wizard of Oz crossover they did, or the Sherlock Holmes crossover. We haven't even gotten to the Willy Wonka one yet, which is still a couple years away, but we're putting the characters in a world that actually kind of makes sense to them, certainly more than the Flintstones WWE movie from earlier in the year. And what I think I really appreciated about this movie a lot is that they combine both the elements that make Tom and Jerry and Johnny Quest work and bring them into this movie. You could tell that these directors, again, this is the second film for Spike Brandt and Tony Cervone of their 3, and they did their homework. You could tell that they weren't just doing a Tom and Jerry Johnny Quest movie because, because these guys clearly were told, hey, make a quick cash grab for it. They know what they're doing. They have an understanding of the source materials for both of them, and the opening alone, where it's the Johnny Quest opening with Tom and Jerry starting the film off, that's a great example of that. That's an impressive opening. And yeah, the movie was surprisingly really damn good. I was really enjoying it all the way through. It combines the elements that makes both Johnny Quest and Tom and Jerry work, and you do get a lot of excitement and enjoyment out of the film than the other Tom and Jerry movies that have been released. It pays respect to both franchises and gives them a modern edge to them. The voice acting overall is really good, the animation is pretty good, the story works very well. I found myself enjoying it a lot more. I mean, I saw the trailers for it a few months back, and I thought to myself, this is kind of odd, but I'm kind of intrigued by it, and yeah, I had a reason to be excited about it, because these guys knew what they were doing. For a Tom and Jerry movie, it's a lot better than what you'd expect it to be. And for a crossover film, it's surprisingly really enjoyable. This is definitely worth a watch. Check it out if you haven't seen, if you're a fan of Tom and Jerry or Johnny Quest. I think you'll definitely get a kick out of this movie. It was well done indeed. So with that said, let's go ahead and move on to the third film this year, directed by Spike Brandt and Tony Servone. It's our first Scooby-Doo movie that we've taken a look at in 14 years, and this time they're teaming up with Kiss for the first time. Not really, if you've seen What's New Scooby-Doo, but they are teaming up in this movie, Scooby-Doo and Kiss Rock and Roll Mystery.
We'll have this case licked in no time.
Now it's just a matter of setting a trap.
Who's gonna be the bait?
You are.
How is it that you and I have to do the hard part?
Just lucky, I guess. Scooby-Doo and Kiss.
Rock and roll mystery.
Come on, guys. These special effects cost money.
Look for it on DVD and digital HD.
I mean, what more can you say about that you haven't already seen already? I mean, the moment that Scooby-Doo licks Gene Simmons and Gene Simmons licks him with his tongue, it's just kind of like, okay, these guys clearly know what they're doing here. They know that this is not meant to be taken that seriously, and they're just having the time of their life with it. And we're having the time of our lives watching it, too. Scooby and the gang travel down to the newly opened Kiss World theme park in order to watch the famous glam rock band play at their highly anticipated Halloween concert, which is funny because this movie came out in August, but on arriving, it is discovered that the park has been closed to the public as an evil Crimson Witch has revealed her plans to summon the Destroyer from the ultimate dimension of Kissteria. Kiss and Mystery Inc. unite their forces in an epic rock and roll battle and save the park from its impending doom. And of course, this is not the first time Scooby-Doo and Kiss have met. They met in a What's New Scooby-Doo Halloween special back in 2003, and when it comes to Scooby-Doo, like I said, I've had a mixed reception to the franchise. I like the original series okay, but I did watch a lot of Pup Named Scooby-Doo as a kid, and I did watch What's New Scooby-Doo a lot. And to me, there's 4 Scooby-Doo related things that have stood out to me as great. Scooby-Doo Mystery Incorporated, Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island, Scooby-Doo and the Witch's Ghost, and Scooby-Doo and the Alien Invaders. I mean, those are the 4 things that really stick out with me with Scooby-Doo. But nevertheless, this was a fun movie all across the board. It works for a couple of reasons. One, this is basically a modern version of the Kiss Hanna-Barbera movie from the 70s, Kiss Meets the Phantom of the Park, a bizarre, over-the-top movie that was produced by Hanna-Barbera when they were also producing live-action films. But, yeah, I think that's the name of it, Kiss Meets Phantom of the Park, but I could be wrong on that, though. I'm correct, it is Kiss Meets the Phantom of the Park, which wasn't in and of itself a pretty bizarre but fun movie on its own merits. And this film definitely lives on that echelon, because I'm not kidding you, this was one of the more enjoyable, fun, over-the-top experiences I've ever had with anything. I mean, this movie gets weird, and I mean weird. Just some of the bizarre things that happen in this movie are so, what the hell just happened? Like, the one scene that sticks out to me is when they're going after the Crimson Witch, and so they get ready to go to Kissteria, and they take half the theme park and turn it into a rocket ship with a gang on there, and the only way to power it is to sing "I Was Made for Loving You, Baby." I mean, what can you say about a sequence like that? It's nicely animated, it's epic, and it's also out of the realm of sanity I have ever seen in my life, and that's saying something for Kiss. But to be fair, it is one of the most enjoyable Scooby-Doo projects I've seen in a long, long time. This was amazing. Yes, it makes no sense. Yes, it's a predictable setup for the franchise. Yes, it's nowhere near as great a storytelling as Mystery Incorporated, but I did not give a fuck. I loved the hell out of this movie. This is a movie where they basically said, let's just go nuts and have fun with this premise, and most of the movie is that. Watching some of the insane things they do here. The animation is really good, especially in that moment I showed you earlier. It looks incredible. You could tell that a lot of it makes no sense story-wise, but they're putting all their effort into the animation for this, and you really cannot deny how amazing this film can be. I mean, this thing, the voice cast is great. The original cast works really well with the Kiss band. Gary Marshall, Kevin Smith, Jennifer Carpenter, Paulie Perrette, Jason Mewes, Darius Rucker. They got some pretty big names for this, but yeah. What more can you say, man? This movie is so much fun. It is so silly. It is so stupid. It is so over the top. But I love it, man. I loved every single minute of it. I can't recommend this one enough. Scooby-Doo and Kiss, Rock and Roll Mystery. It's a must-watch, man. It's a must-watch film. So with that said, let's go back to the world of DC. Let's see if the Justice League can have better success with their next movie, Gods and Monsters.
I've been here before. This time they're gonna have to kill me.
There's your father, General Zod. We need the Justice League.
They're the only ones who can help us.
I watched one madman destroy my world. I'm not going to let another harm this one.
And yet in this universe, there is no Russell Crowe saying, "Welcome to a world of gods and monsters," which I think it's a win in everybody's books. This is taking place in an alternate history where Zod is Superman's father, Batman is a vampiric man-bat, and Wonder Woman is the child of Ares, god of war. When these dark heroes form an alliance, the question everyone will ask is, will they save the world or rule it? You have a cast that includes Michael C. Hall as Batman, Tamara Taylor as Wonder Woman, and Benjamin Bratt as Superman. And it's an original storyline written by Bruce Timm and Alan Burnett that surprisingly really does work very well. There's a lot of ideas that I thought were really kind of cool here. Having Batman being an actual vampire is pretty cool. Making Wonder Woman a new god is a nice touch. Having Superman being somewhat of an immigrant and making Zod his father, an idea that should not work by any means, but it somehow does work very well. These are all ideas that work really well, and the movie does a great job of convincing us why such ideas make sense for a film like this. It's funny because the whole premise of the film can look very deceiving. When you look at these three heroes together, you actually get the sense that these guys are going to turn rogue and cause mayhem. But the movie actually wants you to really look at these three and see what they're going through over the course of the film and decide whether or not they should be the good guys or the bad guys. Yeah, I think it's pretty obvious what's going to happen, but they do a good job of keeping you in suspense overall. A lot of other great voice work in here. Jason Isaacs is really good as Lex Luthor. Patrick Brewster is really good as Lois Lane. C. Thomas Howell as Dr. Will Magnus. The animation overall is nicely done in Bruce Timm's style of animation used in Justice League. Once again, a great score by Frederick Weidman. Good story, good voice cast, really solid film. I really want to see more done with these characters in future movies. And I can't remember if they did more with this, but I enjoyed this. I thought it was actually really, really solid all across the board. Probably the best DC Universe animated film I've seen up to that point since The Dark Knight Returns. So, anyway, let's go ahead and move on to our next movie. Film number 7 of 19. We have a long way to go. We're not even close to being halfway there yet. The Looney Tunes have a direct-to-video movie that came out this year, and that is Rabbit's Run. I should tell you that the audio was all screwed up on all the copies I could find on this, so you could barely hear them, but I tried everything I could to make it seem like you can hear it, so bear with me on the sound. This is the best footage I could get.
Rabbit's Run. Look for it on DVD and digital HD.
So, as you can see, this is a movie that is made by the same people who made the Looney Tunes show, and that was a very polarizing show for most people, so it's really going to depend on whether or not you like this Looney Tunes show, or you didn't like the Looney Tunes show. I feel like that's what's going to take you to see this film, and see if you're going to find enjoyment out of it. But the Looney Tunes crew is back in an all-new animated adventure, and the chase begins with a very rare and highly sought-after flower that can turn anything invisible. And the beautiful perfume salesgirl Lola receives the flower as a gift. Unaware of its awesome power, she adds the magical ingredient to her latest perfume creation. With hope that she has created the next big scent, Lola hails Trace, Cabby's, Bugs Bunny, and Daffy Duck from a hasty trip to Paris. In hot pursuit of the host of Rabbit Looney Tunes All-Stars, including all seeking the sweet-smelling invisibility display, Foghorn Leghorn, Elmer Fudd, Yosemite Sam, but a few fan favorites stretching out in all new roles. Marvin the Martian has the most devious plan for the potion to erase the planet Earth. Oh dear. So spring into this high-speed... Okay, I'm not reading this last part here. I mean, you can tell that's written by somebody at Warner Brothers, but like I said, the team that made the Looney Tunes show, which I've talked about before in the past and really loved, and I think that is going to be the deciding factor of whether or not you can enjoy this movie or not. But when it comes to the Looney Tunes show, like I said, it's like the Man of Steel, an animated show. Some people don't like it because it takes the characters from the classic tunes and makes them way too domesticated, with other complaints including infrequent uses of slapstick, its lack of cartoon gags, character designs, the sitcom-style format that consists of the characters living in a suburban neighborhood, basically the Seinfeld aspect. But that's why I love the Looney Tunes show, man, and that's why I really enjoyed Rabbit's Run. Is it a perfect movie? No, but it's a fun movie. I don't feel like I got ripped off with anything with it whatsoever. It's a good, fun, animated movie. The animation overall is really good. The voice acting is pretty good, too. They do not have Kristen Wiig in this as Lola, which is a shame because she was the best thing about that show. Kristen Wiig brought new life to Lola Bunny, and that's still some of the most hilarious stuff that Lola has ever done. And this time it's one of the people who worked on the Looney Tunes show, Rachel Ramras, doing the voice. And while not as good as Wig, she's at least staying this way she is in the Looney Tunes show, so I'm more than willing to buy into it. The story is good, the comedy is pretty decent, and it is overall a really good, fun movie. For a direct-to-video movie, it does give you everything you expect for a movie based off the Looney Tunes show, and if you like that show, you're definitely going to get a kick out of this. If not, chances are you'd be better off just skipping it or waiting for it to come on Cartoon Network or watching it on streaming, or at this point, because when I wrote this review, it was back before we had the power of streaming, but regardless, like I said, I really enjoyed it, but I really like the Looney Tunes show, and that I think is really going to be the deciding factor on whether or not you're going to like this movie or not. So let's go ahead and move on to our last Warner Brothers movie. We're not done by a long shot here, and that is the Regular Show getting a big screen treatment. Regular Show, the movie.
Calculating time jump.
Press that button and I will shoot you.
Hey, Mordecai. Go ahead.
This is what you losers sound like, and nobody likes it.
So taking place during the events of Season 7, you have Mordecai, voiced by J.G. Quintel, and Rigby, played by William Salyers, who are two slackers working in a city park. When a spaceship from the future crashes in front of them, an intergalactic warrior warns them that the Time NATO is on the verge of destroying the universe, and they're the only ones who can stop it. Mordecai and Rigby will have to go up against their old high school principal and evil volleyball coach, played by Jason Mantzoukas, who of course would later reteam with J.G. Quintel on Close Enough, and even their high school selves in the most epic job of their lives. With the help of High Five Ghost, Muscleman Pops, Benson, and Skips, can Mordecai and Rigby save the universe and keep their friendship intact? Yeah, that's the interesting thing about what they're talking about here, because they don't mention the biggest thing about this movie, and that is the backstory of Mordecai and Rigby's high school years, and how Rigby basically kind of ruined Mordecai's life by basically lying about the fact that he got into a I think it was a community college, because they didn't want to separate each other. And there's one moment in the movie where he's forced to read the letter that he's been hiding from Mordecai for so many years. And the thing about Regular Show, because I do love this show a lot, I talked about it as one of my 30 favorite TV shows of all time. The thing about this show is that they make Mordecai seem like he's the smart one. He knows more than Rigby does, but there's definitely times when Rigby is much smarter than Mordecai, especially later on. And, you know, they show that Rigby is probably much more smarter than we probably give him credit for, but this is one of those times where Rigby really kind of screws Mordecai over. And you could tell, you could really see why they really did this. They went with the direction that they did with it, and it works very well. You do believe the betrayal from Mordecai for what Rigby did, and yeah, that's the real adventure here. The space thing is cool and all that, but the real adventure is seeing how Mordecai and Rigby can still hold on to this relationship and friendship that they've had. And if you've watched Regular Show, it's about as epic of an adventure as you can get from the show. I mean, this is about as good as you can expect a Regular Show movie to be, and if this would have been the last episode of the show, I think they would have had something really, really incredible here. Even though the last couple of seasons weren't the best, I still do enjoy the last couple of seasons, but the show, I think, kind of peaked after Season 7. When they went to space, that's where they kind of fell a little bit off, but never to the point where the show was never bad or anything. But, I mean, this is a lot of fun. A ton of great laughs, a great animation, great music, great adventure, great epicness all across the board, really good emotional moments, really good tension in this. Like, it's a really good movie that you should see if you love what this guy has done, J.G. Quintel. I mean, if you love Regular Show, if you love Close Enough, this is kind of recommended viewing to see the Regular Show movie, to see how well it plays out here. And I think it played it out very, very well overall. What more can you say, except Regular Show the movie, it's anything but a movie. So take that for what you will. So finally, we are done with the Warner Brothers movies, and now we reach the sort of halfway point, because, let's be honest, 19 doesn't really have a halfway point here, so we are at pretty much at the halfway point here. Spike Lee had 2 movies released in 2015. One was Chirac, which we touched on a couple weeks ago, and then I didn't realize this, that he had another movie coming out earlier in the year, and that is, of course, The Sweet Blood of Jesus.
The United States of America is the most violent country in the world. They're the best in the business.
It's a lovely day.
So yeah, it's a little bit of a Get Out before Get Out came out. I mean, it literally does feel that way. This is a movie about a wealthy anthropologist played by Zareem Abrams who was stabbed by an ancient African dagger and turned into a vampire. Leah said that the film is about human beings who are addicted to blood and calls it a new kind of a love story. It's a remake of a 1973 film Ganja and Hess, in which the original writer was actually given a co-writing credit for this. And this was actually one of Lee's first films to be funded through Kickstarter. You know, remember when Kickstarter was actually used to do projects like this? I mean, we talked about the Veronica Mars movie being a Kickstarter project. Zach Braff had a Kickstarter project that became Wish You Were Here. And this one was another one where Spike Lee got what he wanted to make this film. And it's ambitious, I'll give it that, but it's definitely one of those movies where it's a style over substance movie, unfortunately. And yeah, the film looks incredible. The film has a unique edge to it, but unfortunately, the script is kind of bland and mediocre overall. It doesn't really elevate to what Lee can really do, like with something like Chirac, or even with his classic movies like Jungle Fever, Malcolm X, Do the Right Thing, those movies. I mean, those are the ones that still hold up more than a film like this in general. This is one of those interesting little novelty films that I think works. I think is intriguing because of the ideas that they have for it. They good ideas, but never to the point where it's something where it's just like, yeah, this is something that deserves to be seen. I never really got that with this film in general. I mean, I guess the only way to see the film is that if you really are a hardcore Spike Lee fan, which I am, like, it's one that you should check out as kind of a one-off thing, but it's one you're definitely never going to want to watch again after the first time around. I mean, if you're going to see one Spike Lee movie in 2015, go see the better one, Chirac. This one, ambitious, but the script is not that great, so take that for what you will. So, moving on to another movie. Adam Sandler with another film this year. Of course, he had Pixels, which was absolutely awful. But before that, he had The Cobbler, which was directed by the guy who would eventually direct this year's Best Picture winner, Spotlight. So let's see what this film is all about. It's at least enjoyable than Pixels, but yeah, you can kind of see where some of the problems will come into play here. A lot of this movie is that Adam Sandler is a cobbler who finds himself able to assume the form of anybody by putting on their shoes. It could be anybody. It could be a black person. It could be a gang rapist or a old man like Dustin Hoffman has a role in here. You also have a cast that includes Method Man, Ellen Barkin, Dan Stevens, Melanie Diaz, Steve Buscemi. Here's the thing about this movie. This is a odd movie, to say the least, because it's a bad movie. It's not a great film, but it's at least better than some of his comedies. And there is an ambitious idea to it. You know, this idea of you have a gift where you can put on a different pair of shoes and turn into any person you want to. But this film kind of does stuff like what we just showed there, where, you know, he puts on the shoes and he's a black person, and he puts on the shoe and he's a clans. I think he's a Klansman or something like that, or so. But I mean, there's definitely ideas that could make for an ambitious film, but the execution and just the fact that this film seems to have no real boundaries to it, I think really does hurt it in the long run here. And it's a shame, because this is a different kind of Adam Sandler movie, a film that we kind of wanted to see from him after all these really bad comedies, but unfortunately the film just never really goes down that pathway into something that works, because the main character's not really all that interesting, and they never really fully examine the possibilities with the plot in general here, and I think that really hurts the film in the long run in general. I'm not saying it's a good movie, but I am saying it's a film that definitely has a little bit more to it than I think people let on. But it's a movie that I would say definitely skip it. I mean, unless you want to see something a little bit different from Adam Sandler. But then again, there are much better movies where you can see a different side of Adam Sandler. I mean, watch Men, Women, and Children. Watch Uncut Gems. I mean, watch movies like that. Punch Drunk Love. Spanglish. Reign Over Me. There's definitely a lot of good Adam Sandler movies that are outside of his norm out there. So you're better off just watching those in general. So how many times can I say so in this video? Probably a lot, but anyway, let's move on to the next movie here. I honestly had no idea Ryan Gosling directed a movie in 2015, but lo and behold, he did. Lost River. More like Lost Identity, because I have no idea what the fuck is going on in this movie. This is a dark fairy tale about love, family, and the fight for survival in the face of danger. In the virtually abandoned city of Lost River, Billy, played by Christina Hendricks, of Mad Men fame, a single mother of two, is led into a macabre underworld in her quest to save her childhood home and hold her family together. Her teenage son, Bones, played by Ian DeCasticker, I hope I'm pronouncing that name correctly, discovers a mystery about the origins of Lost River that triggers his curiosity and sets him into motion an unexpected dream that will test the limits of those he loves. So yeah, this is a movie where it is kind of a crazy film, but not in a good way. It's a movie where it's like, I get what he's trying to do here, but man, this thing is one of those, this is like The Water Diviner, the Russell Crowe movie from the previous year, where they basically just gave Ryan Gosling a blank check to do whatever you want, and yeah, you probably shouldn't have done that, because, I mean, granted, he does have a little bit of ambition as a director here, but this is back when everyone wanted to direct. You know, every actor wants to direct, and, you know, sometimes it works, other times not so much. You can't always be Clint Eastwood, you can't always be Ben Affleck, you can always be an Eddie Murphy or William Shatner. Like, a great actor, but when it comes to directing your own movie, not so much. Even though he's not in this movie. I will say the notable thing about this film is that this was actually the last film by Eva Mendes before she retired, which I had no idea she retired. I mean, Cameron Diaz did retire in 2014, but yeah, I never knew that Eva Mendes retired after this. She hasn't been in the movie since then. But, yeah, this film, ambitious, kind of like The Cobbler, but like with that movie, it's definitely a movie where it really does not have a good identity of what kind of a film it wants to turn out to be in the very end, and kind of suffers from that. So there you go. That is Lost River. So let's go ahead and move on now to the next film we have here. Only 7 more to go. We have Queen Latifah as Bessie.
Remember what I told you about the blue? If you're not risking nothing, neither will they. What's your name, pretty lady? Bessie Smith.
From Dee Rees, the director of Pariah, this is the story of Queen Latifah as Bessie Smith, and focusing on her transformation as a struggling young singer into the Empress of Blues. And this won the Emmy for the Outstanding TV Movie of the Year. And it's Queen Latifah giving a really solid performance in here, along with Monique starring as Ma Rainey, Michael Kenneth Williams starring as her first husband. The cast also includes Candy Alexander, Tika Sumpter, Oliver Platt, Brian Greenberg, Charles S. Dutton. It's a really good movie, co-written by Horton Foote, who won the Oscar, of course, for writing the screenplays for Tender Mercies and also To Kill a Mockingbird. Excellent film. Excellent film. It's an HBO movie, so of course that usually means good quality. Yeah, I miss HBO original movies, man. A lot of them could actually be really damn good. And this is one that really is very well done. It's a movie it's a good biopic that doesn't fall down the safe and marketable biopic route, so not much more to say about it except that it's a really good movie. Highly recommend checking it out if you haven't seen it. Bessie is a very, very good film. So, once again, we have another actor who wants to become a director. This time it's Captain America, Chris Evans, starring alongside Alice Eve in Before We Go.
From one of the worst nights in my life, also be one of the best.
No, you can trust him, man. I mean, it's Captain America. Chris Evans hasn't gone into his Knives Out, Honey Don't villainous arc, if you want to go down that route. But, simple premise here, Chris Evans and Alice Eve stars 2 strangers stuck in Manhattan for the night. That's really about it. This is written by Ronald Bass, who of course won the Oscar for Dead Poets Society back in the day, and produced by Mick G, which, yeah, talk about 2 different viewpoints of filmmaking here. And kind of like with Ryan Gosling, the fact that Chris Evans gets to direct a movie here, it's definitely suffering from a lot of the same problems that Lost River did, except that it's not as bizarre and as insane as that movie is. But this one's just kind of bland and forgettable. It's a movie you can clearly tell that Evans is trying so hard to do his Before Sunrise type of a film, because it has that same elements as Before Sunrise. But the performances by even Evans are pretty good in here. You do buy them as a couple overall, but the lackluster story and not really a whole much of a flair to it to make it stand out on its own does hurt it in the end overall. So, yeah, probably not a good effort for Chris Evans to make his directorial debut on. I would like to see him try again with another film. Maybe down the road he will, but not with this film, unfortunately. So, Roland Emmerich is back. He doesn't have a new movie in 2015 except for this one, but he'll be back in 2016 with Independence Day Resurgence, the sequel that everyone was asking for, right? Well, we're not quite there yet. Let's take a look at how Stonewall panned out.
These kids have nothing left to lose.
Things are changing. Stonewall, rated R, September 25th.
Not very well, Bob. Not very well. Set in and around the 1969 Stonewall riots, a violent clash with police that sparks the gay liberation movement in New York City. So, kind of like with Suffragette, it's a movie that takes something that should make for a very interesting movie from a director that you don't really expect a whole lot from. Roland Emmerich is usually that guy who makes the lamest, lackluster sci-fi blockbuster epic movies. Most of them are not very good. I mean, Stargate, Independence Day, Godzilla 98, 10,000 BC, 2012, the list goes on and on. But, yeah, this is definitely not one of those movies that he should be proud of here. And, yeah, it's a movie where it's a noble effort, but, again, kind of like with the Ryan Gosling and Chris Evans directed movies, a noble effort can only get you so far. And when you're trying to do a movie like this and doing it in the way you do it, yeah, it's not going to end very well for you. I mean, this is pretty bad. I mean, this is a pretty lousy film. I mean, this thing is just a mess here. But, Roland Emmerich really does believe in it, man. I mean, he is so proud of it that he blamed the failure on one voice of the internet who saw a trailer and said, "This is whitewashing Stonewall. Stonewall was a white event. Let's be honest." But nobody wants to ever hear that anymore. No, I think nobody wants to hear from you anymore because you have lost your way, man. I mean, you have not made one good movie for most of your career. So, yeah, maybe you should be the one that nobody wants to hear from anymore. Just saying. But, anyway, that is a Stonewall for you. I mean, a story like that deserves much better than this. So, let's go ahead and take a look at Kurt Russell is back with a new movie, of course, with The Hateful Eight that came out at Christmas time. But we forget that he was also in Bone Tomahawk with Patrick Wilson. Now, you know that should have killed him, man. I mean, the thing is literally into his lungs at that point. I mean, that guy should be dead. Just saying. But, this is Bone Tomahawk, a Western horror movie that is about a small-town sheriff who's leads a posse into a desolated region to rescue 3 people who are abducted by cannibalistic clans of troglodytes. So, yeah, it's a Western mixed in with a zombie movie, pretty much. And it's pretty friggin' awesome. It's a movie that is so... it's so ridiculous, but it plays it so straight. It works to a T. I mean, it's not Big Trouble in Little China levels, but it's pretty unique and ambitious for its own time. And it's a film that does work very well. The cast overall is really good. You also have Matthew Fox, Lily Simmons, Richard Jenkins, Catherine Morris, Sid Haig, David Arquette. Just a really fun idea overall. It never overstays its welcome, and it makes for a very intriguing, unique film at a time when Westerns desperately needed a unique edge to them. And this film definitely delivers that and more. Kind of an underrated gem of a film, but one that's worth checking out if you haven't seen it. Bone Tomahawk is definitely a very good film. So moving on, let's go to see what Sarah Silverman is up to with a new movie called I Smile Back.
I'd love to smile like that again.
Oh, she's thinking about the many, many ways she's going to murder her family, pretty much. But Sarah Silverman taking on a very dramatic role in this film, with her starring as an upper-middle-class wife and mother struggling with mental illness and addiction. Yeah, that type. So it's basically The Burning Bed, pretty much, except not as chaotic as that movie is, because it's literally kind of the same plot here. And, I don't know, man. Like, kind of like with Ryan Gosling and Chris Evans, we touched on a little bit earlier in the show, and Adam Sandler, too, with The Cobbler, it's a movie where you see somebody like Sarah Silverman, who's known for a comedy, great comedy, her voice work is top-notch. It's her trying to do something outside of her norm, but you really expect a whole lot better with her. You can tell she's trying. I mean, she's the one thing that really does carry the film over to a level where I would say it's worth checking out just for that, but the rest of the film itself, though, is pretty forgettable, man. It's a lame brain storyline here. The movie really doesn't deliver a whole lot in terms of the overall story. It's been done to death before, but yeah, Sarah Silverman really is the best thing about the movie, but the rest of it, not so much. Yeah, a mixed bag of opinion, but I'd say watch it once for the Sarah Silverman performance, but you're never going to want to watch it again after this. But hey, you'll probably want to watch it more times in our next movie. James Franco gets a chance to direct a movie now, taking one of William Faulkner's classic stories and making The Sound and the Fury. And surely, you know, it's been 12 years since Radio was kind of the last of the movies where people went full retard to try to win an Oscar. So surely James Franco isn't going to do anything by trying to stoop to a level as low as Cuba Gooding Jr., right?
We are a family. Your sister and your brothers are all we got in this world.
Christ, this family's bad enough without idiot accosting girls on the street.
That's enough, Jason. Jason, what you doing with $3,000 cash in your closet?
I think the better question is, why the fuck is Danny McBride starring in a serious role like this? I mean, Danny McBride, kind of like with Sarah Silverman, we expect to see Danny McBride be funny, and I don't think the guy could be a bad dramatic actor, but man, when he's not being a comedian, it does just not work. I mean, the Halloween movies, and then The Exorcist Believer, when he wrote those, he has a cameo in this movie, but man, let me just say, he's the least of this film's problems. James Franco alone in this, oh my god. This is, of course, based off the William Faulkner novel, which was previously made into a film by Martin Ritt. And it stars, it's focusing on the Compson family and their struggles to adjust to the changing society of the 20th century Deep South. Told from 4 different perspectives: the mentally disabled Benji Compson, played by Franco; the fragile intellectual Quentin, played by Jacob Loeb; the vile Jason, played by Tim Blake Nelson; and his family's old black servant Dilsey, played by Loretta Devine. So yeah, this has a great cast to it, but yeah, it's pretty much a straightforward disaster of a movie. And I like how Seth Rogen and Danny McBride have cameos in this, even though they're 4th and 5th billing behind the 3 main stars of this: James Franco, Tim Blake Nelson, and Anna O'Reilly. I mean, this movie's a mess, man. I mean, from James Franco's bad-looking teeth that makes Cuba Gooding Jr. in Radio look better by comparison. Cuba Gooding Jr. is probably looking at this and going like, dude, pump the brakes, man. You're making Radio look better than me. I mean, you're making Radio look better than this, is what I'm trying to say. But evidently, this was not the first time James Franco directed a movie based off of a Faulkner novel. He actually did one with As I Lay Dying, which, actually, I don't remember if I ever covered that one or not. But I haven't seen it, so it doesn't really matter. But man, I think the moment that really lost me was that trailer. Like, I can only show you half of it, but watch that trailer and just watch how everybody is trying so hard, begging for that Oscar, and just failing miserably at it on so many levels. And I mean, Seth Rogen, aside from Danny McBride's bad role here, Seth Rogen going like, "What's your message, sir?" Like, that type of thing, where it's just kind of like, come on, man. Like, this whole thing is so bad on so many levels. And Seth Rogen was in a much better movie where he was really good as a dramatic actor. The Steve Jobs movie, which sadly he didn't get an Oscar nomination for that, but it was certainly a lot better than what he was trying to do in this film. That's for damn sure. But see, here's what The Sound of Fury needed to do. They needed to be a straightforward parody while taking it very seriously. Just look at what Will Ferrell and Kristen Wiig did for Lifetime in 2015.
Everything. Could have had a life together. You're selfish, coward, and a liar just like the rest of them.
You really are a strange girl.
Oh yes, this was a real thing. A Deadly Adoption is a Lifetime original movie that is played straight up serious, and it's described as a deadpan parody of Lifetime channel films, where you have Will Ferrell and Kristen Wiig as a typical middle-class husband and wife, and Jessica Lowndes serving as the villain. It was so deadpan that when it premiered on Lifetime, audiences failed to recognize that it was in fact satirical. So that should pretty much tell you everything you need to know about Lifetime audiences and how they can't look at this and see the parody aspects of it. But yeah, this movie is pretty fun, man. I mean, this is a movie where it didn't get the best reviews when it came out. And I think Will Ferrell himself even said that he explained he said later on in an interview with Conan O'Brien that, you know, he explained that the joke laid in the absurdity of producing a straight Lifetime movie, and Rolling Stone, he's cited Rolling Stone while claiming they understood the joke, while the New York Times did not. And I think that is the reason why this film does not have the best reviews overall, is that people really were confused about. Well, first of all, it's Lifetime, and people that watch Lifetime movies essentially are not the smartest people whatsoever. I mean, they look at a movie like this and they think to themselves, "Oh wow, this is this has to be a real movie." I mean, it's a straight up parody, and a fun parody too. And that's what I really love about this movie, is that it takes a lot of balls to just go in on this, play it so seriously and so deadpan, and it just works. It's a film that is so ridiculous, it's so insane, but it's pretty fun, man. I enjoyed the hell out of this movie. I got the joke, and I think a lot of people didn't, but man, give this movie a chance, man. It's definitely one of Will Ferrell's much better movies. Certainly a lot better than the big Will Ferrell movie of the year, Get Hard. Yeah, this one's definitely a lot better than that, so. Okay, so we've had some fun, but now let's go ahead and finally get to film number 19, easily the best film of the week, all the way across the board. Let's take a look at Anomalisa.
Critics are raving about Anomalisa, and now it's nominated for the Academy Award for Best Animated Feature. Rolling Stone proclaims it's a masterpiece, one of those rare perfect films. Anomalisa, rated R, now playing.
So as you can see, Anomalisa is a stop-motion animated movie produced by the people behind Robot Chicken, and also Dino Stamatopoulos, who gave us More Oral. And it's a story that follows it's a film in the same vein as something like Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind from Charlie Kaufman, who wrote this and directed this, and follows the British middle-aged customer service expert Michael Stone, played by David Thewlis, who perceives everyone as identical except for Lisa Hesselman, played by Jennifer Jason Leigh, who he meets in a Cincinnati hotel. Another person who has two really good movies in 2015, released in the same month nonetheless, The Hateful Eight and this film. And yeah, this is a really, really good movie, man. It's a straightforward, it's an adult movie, man, with a lot of elements that don't feel like the typical stop-motion film. It's not a kid's movie, but it's a film that really could work if it was done in live action, but it really excels in animation. I mean, this movie is so beautifully handled. It's a movie you could tell these people put a lot of effort and time into this, because it's a stop-motion animated movie, but they're also doing stuff that they hadn't done before in films like this, and it actually alleviated after Paramount Pictures joined the production, which was the reasoning why they were able to expand this into a feature film. It works because the performances are so good in here. Thewlis and also Jason Leigh are very good in this movie. They have a lot of great chemistry together. The animation overall is really good. The views in this film are absolutely amazing. And it sadly got overlooked hard at the box office. It only cost $8 million, didn't even make that back. It did eventually get a nomination for Best Animated Feature at the Oscars. And it's a movie that I really do think definitely deserves that same kind of attention that Charlie Kaufman's other movies, adaptation and Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, should have gotten, and Being John Malkovich. I mean, this is definitely up there with some of his best works. A beautiful film, great movie. Can't recommend this one enough. Anomalisa, the last film of 2015. Might as well end it on a very high note, because it was a very good year in 2015. And we're finally done. 19 movies done. If this video isn't an hour long, I will be shocked. But we will see after I edit this together. But with all that said, thank you so much for joining me on this episode of Time About the Movies. Next time on the show, we're combining 2 weekends because we only have one new release to kick off 2016's crop of new films, and that is The Forest, starring Natalie Dormer, and the film that I really do think is the film that inspired Logan Paul to say, "Hey guys, let's go out to the Suicide Forest. It should be a happy place." And then, of course, we know what happens after that. But we also have Ride Along 2, the sequel to the first Ride Along movie, which was a surprisingly good movie back in 2014. The sequel, we have Michael Bay directing a much better movie than Transformers Age of Extinction, 13 Hours. And we have Rob Schneider starring in the infamous Norm of the North. If you thought Rob Schneider movies were bad enough, wait until you see the bottom of the barrel. This may be the worst thing he's ever been attached to. And trust me, That is saying a lot. So we're covering 4 movies over the course of 2 weeks on the next episode, so get ready for that tomorrow. In the meantime, it has been a long weekend. As soon as I'm done editing this, I'm going to bed. But thank you folks out there for joining me on this. If you like what you saw and want to see more videos like this, please go ahead and do me the honors of hitting that like button, that subscribe button, and that notification button. Check out our playlist next to our J.J. Abrams style lens flare. I know that's there, but it's been, like I said, long weekend. But there's the playlist right there. Check out the previous episode. I'm tired. I'm going to bed. I will see you guys next time. Thanks for watching. Whether it's in the past, the present, or the future, I will see you at the movies. Take care. Good night, everybody.